Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar Podcast. Today's guest is the CEO of The FranDream. And what he does is he helps people to find the right franchise business so they can create a path to ownership, build wealth, gain more control over your future. He guides you through the entire process from exploring opportunities to evaluating brands, negotiating terms, and connecting them with trusted resources. So I'm super excited to be rocking out today with James Hilovsky. Hey, James, you ready to rock?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you.
Nice, right on. So we always start off here in a good note. Tell me a story of success that we can be inspired by.
Yeah, the story of success really that can inspire by is many people that I help find them when they're tired of the 9 to 5 corporate world or just looking for something else to do is finding a franchise that they could be into where they could have a lot of interest in, where they could work from home in a lot of cases, and just being able to take their life back of having that freedom of being able to have something for yourself and then to be able to make appointments, see your kids play sports or whatever it is, just to take your schedule back and be able to live a much better life.
Right, right on. Yeah, which is exactly what this podcast is all about. That was sort of the good note that I had as well, is to be able to just have a little more freedom over time. But that doesn't mean you work less, right?
Right. No, no, it does not mean you work less. No, not at all. It just means that you answer to yourself, which is a great thing.
It's a great thing, yes, if that's the type of personality that you are. So speaking of which, I mean, not everything goes as planned. There are some bad notes that get hit along the way. Can you share with us, one of the bad notes, one of the mistakes that was made over the journey, and how you recovered from that?
Yeah, but I think really the thing that I really didn't do starting out and when I was younger was really asking for help or seeking that advice of just like, hey, I'm young, I know it all, I'm upcoming, I work hard, I can outwork anybody, and really I look back and go, gosh, it would have been a lot easier if I would have networked with people that were in the space I was in and sought their advice or just we talked about what was going on in our daily life and how did they handle this that came up that we could have fixed this problem and really just having that network or a mentor to look on and I really didn't catch that up till later where I realized, hey, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to struggle. You're gonna have ups and downs in business. So really, I think it was not seeking out the mentorship and just help of other people and to ask questions.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I think that's really important. And especially when you're, working on a home business where you're kind of on your own, right? You don't have that water cooler type thing where you can kind of talk about your experiences and sort of relate with other people, right? It's a lot harder this way, right?
Oh yeah, I would say really, oftentimes you could say, yes, it's great to work from home, but depending on the business, it could be very lonely and where you're just kind of, by yourself. And so that's why I really try to at least once a week or twice a week of just to have little Zoom conferences with people in my industry to where we could talk about what's going on in the industry, what have they seen change, just to have that little bit of camaraderie and just
Hmm.
that just being able to talk and just vent or get that advice and mentorship.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I started my journey way back in 2008, I guess it was, when I became self-employed, work from home. And I mean, Zoom and all that stuff didn't, it hadn't really caught on yet. And like, so nowadays, just with the ability that we have to connect with other people just sitting at home with a camera, I mean, it's not quite the same as face to face, but it is pretty darn close, right? And you kind of avoid that commute back and forth to try to get to somewhere, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So we call it our mastermind group. So our mastermind group, we have someone that's I'm in Southern California. We have someone in Florida. We have someone in Ohio. So
Yeah.
all across the country, which you could have never done before Zoom.
Yeah, and And that's another point too, right? It's easier to meet like minds when you're picking from the pool of the entire globe, right?
Right.
Than when you're just kind of like dealing with your own little small town, or maybe you live in a big city. But the smaller the city, the harder it is to find your tribe. And so, when you have, access to something like Zoom, then you can just, you can find people that you connect with everywhere.
Yeah, and really, way back in the day when I first realized, well, I really do need to seek some people out. It was, hey, let's meet for coffee or breakfast at, every Wednesday at this coffee house, and
Mm.
that was kind of the meetup and talk about, what's going on and how can we help each other.
Yeah, that's what I did. When I first started seeking out help, is I went to one of those, business networking groups, and they'd meet for lunch, and you'd go and sit there and do all that stuff. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's now I think a lot of these business networking groups are moving online, which is really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, 100%. There's one that's online and that does a once a month meetup, so it's very good, very cool.
Right on. So let's talk a little bit about getting fans, and I mean, bringing people into your business that love you, I guess. I mean, it's a different world, right? I mean, I think that the weird thing is that, you know, a long time ago, it was very, very difficult to get, well, it was expensive to get eyeballs on your business. You'd have to buy a billboard, buy a TV ad, buy a radio ad. But now, I mean, you've got social media, and people are going to be able to see what you are putting out there. But the competition is so huge. How do you get them to actually like you rather than just like scroll by you, right?
Right, yeah. So I use just a ton of methods out there of social media, LinkedIn post. So I work with athletes and 9 to 5 professionals. For the athletes, I go to celebrity golf tournaments and network with athletes that way and find ways to meet them and then just say, hey, do you need some help finding a business? I'm your guy. 9 to 5ers, there's some lead portals that I use that are just franchise leads that are just looking for people that are looking for franchises. And then, I use marketing companies, use some AI. But what I will say about in the marketing world, at least for myself, I usually always try to have a lot of different levers and a lot of different things that I'm doing and fishing in a lot of ponds, put it that way. But what I
Yeah.
will also say, I could be fishing in a pond, but I still talk with prospective advertisers, marketing people of, what could be the next thing. I always want to have something that I can pull. And I feel that any marketing program that you're running, you have to at least give it 3 months. So if there's one that I'm trying out, I'm giving it 3 months. And then, there's one that I'm doing right now. It's coming up on its 3 months. But I have 2 or 3 other companies that I'm thinking like, hey, maybe let's try to fish in this pond. So it's always changing it up, not getting stagnant, of moving around, of trying things to see what will work best.
Yeah. 3 months is definitely the baseline that I've noticed too. It takes 3 months to build any type of momentum, pretty much anything. But also, I did notice as well that it takes about 3 months for it to fall away. So,
Right.
so you'll get some of that residual kind of benefit, So when you stop doing what you're doing, it doesn't necessarily just all of a sudden everything stops. It takes 3 months for it to stop too, right?
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's just a game and it's just a cycle that you really gotta, keep up. I really think a mistake you can make is go, hey, my marketing strategy is working now and it's working great, and I'm just gonna keep it on autopilot. I'm just gonna keep doing this. I
Yeah.
think you always have to look to tweak and what you can do to, make it better.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You're right, because that's exactly what we were just saying, that the evidence comes after.
Mhm.
So, if you're sort of doing and just trucking along on something and all of a sudden it starts to not work anymore, you actually don't know that until 3 months later,
Sure,
right?
sure, sure.
Right. And so you've got to kind of like be poking around to try to figure out if there's something else that you could be doing too. But that doesn't necessarily mean stop what you're doing. I mean, keep doing what you're doing. If it's working, right? But like you say, maybe there's a certain amount, a certain percentage of your time or your effort or your money that you're putting into something else. Do you do you, do
Yeah.
you find that's what you do, or?
Yeah, yeah. Find my time, my money. We'll go in there. I have a set amount of dollars that I say I'm going to spend this month. Once those are capped out, I still listen to different marketing strategies from people that are out there of maybe going, okay, this might come up when this plan is over if I'm not seeing any fruit from it. So really, keeping that marketing program and just making tweaks, but also having that backup plan. So I always will, if I hear of a marketing person that's pitching something, and even if my programs all are working great right now, I'll still listen to them so I can have them, in the closet to pull out in time of need if something decides to go awry. And like you said, it's a long game. It's 3 months, and then it's 3 months after that you see it if it's going or failing. And so it is definitely something that I've learned. I really need to keep my eye on it. Where earlier I just said, oh, this is what I'm spending on. I'm good on marketing. It's like, you got to tweak it and try different systems and different ways to go about it.
So you mentioned earlier about hiring coaches and mentors and being parts of masterminds, and that's for the learning aspect of it. But what
Mhm.
about the other side of it of your band? Do you hire people? Do you have do you delegate this work? Like what's your process on that?
So I work with subcontractors. I work subcontractors that I have a subcontractor that does my social media marketing. They do my posts, they do my LinkedIn posts for me. If I run into a problem or I have a particular need where it's going to be too much, I'll find a franchise broker like myself, and we might co-broker and work with a few clients together to where if I feel like I'm a little bit too busy and too stacked, I can't give all my attention, I'll say, hey, Bob, do you want to join me on these next 10 clients and kind of help me out with them? So I'll do some co-brokering with them in there as well. I really kind of like this subcontractor model of being able to, use them when it works out great for them because I'm feeling a need for them, and then works out great for me because I don't have, sometimes it's not like I don't really want to hire that full-time person because I don't want to, shortchange them or expectations of, hey, there might not be, a lot of things that you can do. So the sub model works just great for my business and myself.
And I use the same model too with subcontracting rather than employees. And I think there are benefits to both, obviously. But on the other hand, I do like the idea of using subcontractors because what you're doing now is that you are self-employed building a business and you're hiring somebody else who's self-employed building a business. And I remember one time someone said that no one's ever going to work as hard for your business as you do. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. Well, what if I hire people that are have their own business? Then that means that they're working as hard for their business as I'm working for my business, and then we can both work together to accomplish certain things, right? Does that make sense?
That's 100% right. I couldn't have said it any better. That's exactly right because you have someone in that you're hired that is vested in their business. They want to do a great job because they want to get the next job that comes up, or they know that you're going to talk with people and recommend them. I can't tell you how many times someone will say, "Hey, do you have someone who could do social media?" Yeah, I do. Here's their number, and just being able to, be able to give them business as well. If they do a good job, if they don't, then it's like, okay, we tried this, it didn't work out, and probably won't call you again. But I think it's really a great model that helps both parties out.
Yeah, love it. Yep. And not everybody's a fit, and that's fine too. And that's another thing as well that you have the benefit of just not hiring them again if it didn't quite fit, rather than a hire and a fire type situation, right?
Yeah, as married and divorced is basically the employee. The divorce can get messy sometimes. A subcontractor model, you're just dating, so it makes it a much easier breakup.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about your jam room. So tell me about how that's organized. Like how do you stay productive when you're working at home?
So really what I think, because I would say not, it really doesn't fit everyone for working at home. I mean, I've had friends who have tried it and they can't do it. They have to go into an office because some will be like, well, I had the TV on and I wound up spending 5 hours in front of the TV because I got interested in this show, or I watched this show and then I wanted to binge the whole thing because, well, I could. And really it's just a matter of being focused, of being able to go to your desk and shut everything else out, and to be at there and be productive in your work. But I also will say, I really try not to sit at my desk longer than an hour and a half. I need to get up and either walk down and grab a drink, soda, coffee, or just maybe even what I find that I do a lot is I'll just walk outside, to be outside, just to get some fresh air and just kind of, especially after maybe a difficult call, difficult meeting, just take it all in and just just like, wow, okay, just to recharge. And I think you have to have those recharging moments of working at home, and to find that thing where you can go and escape for a little bit. So there's really different, like I said, a lot of challenges, but I think really to keep involved, of don't be chained to your desk. It's just like take the stroll around the house or the neighborhood, or just get outside.
Yeah, I agree. I think you do have to take little breaks here and there. But also like yeah, getting those distractions turned off. That I mean, I think you're probably right. I think that there's personality differences. I think some people just can't do it. Um, but maybe it's also a muscle. Maybe it's just something that you have to sort of just work at. But I do know one thing is that when I first got started, I remember it was a lot harder. I remember like just my place was so clean because I would just be like, oh, I don't feel like working, so I would just start cleaning, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's just anything other than work, right? Was what was going on. But I think that what ends up happening is that you basically just have to start creating some better routines. I think, and then all of a sudden, you know that you're working at this time, you know that you're taking a break at this time, and just being more intentional with your time, right?
Yeah, I think really the routine, like you said, it really helps out a lot to do that, and to have that set routine. I really would say too, what I will say is you can look at it as an advantage or disadvantage of working at home would be when, I could tell you that there's times at 8 o'clock at night where I'll go up and get a thought and go to the desk and spend about 20 to 30 minutes of getting that thought and put it into place. So
Yeah.
working at home has its really great benefits, but I will say that I'm able to, go in for another 30 minutes, even if it's even at like 11 o'clock at night, to go in and do this. And hey, I think I'm going to, go catch a game here in the afternoon and be able to come back at 8 o'clock at night and then, do some work. It just is, I love it. I really do.
Yeah, I love it too. And I think that probably uh like do you sort of do you have like priority lists, or like do you have lists of things that need to get done? Because I mean, like you say, I mean, it's not an hourly thing, or do you track your hours? Like how do you work that?
Yeah, I don't really track my hours. It's all based on, client calls and when their call is going to be. But, sometimes I'll get a lead, a potential person that's interested in, talking about looking at a franchise.
Yeah.
Could be 9 o'clock at night. I might go up and go, okay, hey, what time are you free for a call to book the next call? Just to, always doing that. I will say, really, the one thing about working from home, I am more available than I did in the corporate job, where, if I'm out doing something and I see a text to do something, I'll answer it on my phone and say, hey, this is when we can meet. And, some people will call that work. I just call that, 5 minutes of taking care of business.
Hmm. Yeah, 5 minutes of taking care of business. Right on. Okay, well, it's time for you to get solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business right now.
So really what's exciting for business really is just taking the many people out there that are looking to, get out of 9 to 5 jobs and or an athlete looking to do something after they're retired, and finding that match for them to take control of their lives, or help them build retirement up, or savings up, whatever it may be. Take control of their life when they say, yes, I will do that as an entrepreneur. Because one thing I will tell you is, I think in talking to any entrepreneur, they would all tell you, I wish I would have done this a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Uh, I think anybody that who works from home would go, I wish I would have done this a lot sooner. And so my joy is taking people there, showing them the vast things that are out there in the franchise world. Most people just think, hey, it's just the restaurant business is a franchise. No, there's dog grooming, there's vending machines, there's day spas, nail salons, haircut. We could go on and on. I have about 400 in my inventory. So my whole job is to show the client what's out there in the industries and what we think would be a match for them based on investment level, based on, do they want to work from home or do they want to have a brick and mortar? So all these factors of what do you want your life to look like in your next chapter, I'll show them their options, then I'll introduce them to the franchisor, then stay with them their whole time to make sure it's a good match for them, like verifying with with franchisees that, hey, it's a great system, it's going to support you. So I kind of help them find and research that to make sure it's a really great fit for their next chapter.
Nice. Yeah. Well, so what is a franchise in case someone doesn't know?
Yeah, so a franchise is great for any aspiring or new entrepreneur, really anybody. A franchise, what they do, they provide the playbook of the franchise. They
Yep.
will have an operations manual. They will have systems in place. They will have, if it's a food place, or you have to get a product, they'll have distribution in place. All the vendors are lined up. So really, all you have to do, I shouldn't say all, it's a lot of hard work, but you do have to follow their system. They help you if you're getting your home office set up. They'll tell you what you need in your home office. If it's a brick and mortar, they'll help you with finding the location. They help you with all the marketing. They help you launch the business of pre-sales and marketing, as well as after that, you have ongoing support that they help you with. If you run into any problem, you could support this. And then also the franchisees in the system are going to be like your teammates, because they are, they've experienced what you're experiencing. They've already gone through that. So you lean on them for advice. And then, as you grow, you become just, that's your network. And you talk about the business and how's it going, and, how you can help them in this area. They can help you in that area. So it really is a great system. I will say it's not for everyone. If you're a type
Mm.
of person that wants to do your own thing and not really listen and conform to, the way someone wants you to do their business, then franchising is probably not for you. But for the majority of people, it fits really, really well.
Right on. Yeah. Well, so part of my story is when I was working at a job, I actually started in the network marketing industry, which is very similar to franchising. And I think that I think that's a really good kind of like foot in the door for business. Either of those actually, both of those can provide some benefit because if you don't have any entrepreneurs in your network, if you've never done it before, you've been working a job, then there are a lot of things. I mean, that's what this whole podcast is about that are going to trip you up, right? And what I understand a franchise to be is basically someone just ran a business, they got successful, then they wrote a system of what they do, and then they just sell that system to you. And so you just follow it step by step, and you can expect to have reasonable results to the person who built the business. Does that sound right?
Yep, that's 100% right. What I would say would be one of the things that a lot of people will misinterpret about a franchise is that the franchisor is going to run your business. No,
No.
it's your business. You got to do it. You got to
Yep.
put the blood, sweat, and tears into it. So yeah, you're going to be successful the way you run your business, and that's going to be following the system.
Yep. I'm right on. And so for like a foot in the door, if you're looking to start something, because what I find running this podcast, people will reach out to me quite often and they'll say, "Well, I want to start a business. What should I do?" And and I was like, it depends. I mean, it depends on you. So I think that for those people, especially, I mean, I like that you've got a list of all these different franchises because, now you can kind of look through this, menu of things that might match your skills and then do that, right? And follow that system. But as you said, there, the, the challenge that I often had, when I was even doing network marketing is that we would sort of like lay out this system. Okay, follow this system to a T, and you're likely going to have reasonable results, right? If you follow
Mhm.
that. And people would want to do it their own way.
Right, right, right.
I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it this way instead because I think it's going to be better. And then they wouldn't get the results that they that they
Right,
would be expecting. And I mean, hey, maybe they might, get better results if they were very, very good with business. But that's the whole point. That's the reason why you're choosing a franchise is because you actually don't have the business skills. So why do you think your idea is going to be better than the idea of the person who has a successful business, right?
right.
So it's like one of those things where if you can push through it and just do what they say,
Mhm.
then what you're going to do is you're going to learn a whole bunch of stuff in that process. And at the end of that, you might think, okay, I've done it their way. Now I'm going to start my own business and break out and do something else. That's fine, right? I mean, once you've run your franchise, you can close that business and start something else, right? Or
Yeah,
or no.
yeah, no, you could close it, you could sell it, you could do something else. The one thing you probably couldn't do is if you were in a dog grooming franchise, you could not, you couldn't close that business down and open your own because you're going to sign a non-compete for, a couple of years of after you close your business. But if you go from, dog grooming to, indoor golf simulator business, absolutely, you could do that both at the same time. Oftentimes what a lot of franchisees will do, they'll have an Orange Theory gym and go, hey, I really like that, indoor golf studio. They'll open up one of those and they might have three or four different concepts of franchise concepts and have four different businesses going.
Yep, right. And then the last thing I'll say on that is that really uh, most of the skills that you build when you're running any business are transferable to another business, right? And I remember like one of the things that I learned real quickly when I started my own business is that, a lot of people will say, oh, I'm a great, like you say, dog groomer, or I'm a great hairstylist.
Mhm.
And, I'm working for this other guy, they're making all the money. Why don't I just start my own business, cut out the middleman and, I'll be rich. Well, it turns out that you're going to be spending about 80% of your time doing something other than cutting hair or other than
Right,
dog
right.
grooming. You're going to be running the business, right? And that's kind of the same in any business, right? You're going to be spending a lot of that time doing something other than what it is that you're actually really good at. And eventually, I mean, if you really want that business to grow, you're going to be hiring people that are going to be doing that stuff, right? I mean, that's just the way it works. And so I think that I love the idea of starting some sort of franchise or starting some sort of uh, systemized business because the things that you're going to learn there are going to be the things that you're going to be able to take to any business after that, right? And that really is, now if you want to do it your own way, which I mean I encourage as well, then at least you'll have some baseline of the things that that worked, right?
Oh, absolutely. You'll know the things that work and like you said, really it's you're not going to be cutting hair. You're going to be running the business.
Yep.
And like you said, I think anybody who has a job or has some skills is out there is going to have those skills of running the business. I would put it this way is, my background before I started was in sports before I did the restaurant business. So, okay, well, when I started working, I'm going, oh, well, this is easy. It's like a sports team. You know, the general manager is going to be the manager of the team.
Yeah.
The staff is going to be the players. It's the manager's responsibility to put the aces in their places, the right players where they're going to go. And then, if you move up, then you're the general manager of the, or the, you're the owner,
Yep.
and you just kind of build it as if you were a sports team, just like I'm sure in your world is, if I'm correct, I think the drummer controls everything in a band, right? Is that really it? And they orchestrate it, or am I way off in there?
I like to think so. Yeah. Yeah, no, the drummer does control the beat. Yep. I mean, if you, they do say that you're only as good as your drummer. So really, I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just really you just in the corporate world, you just kind of take those skills you've learned and put it into business because now you might go from being a worker bee to okay, I need to run this business, and the franchise is going to give you those tools and train you how to do that and say this is how you need to do it. So it makes a really great business model if you can follow a system.
Yep. So how do we find out more?
Yeah. TheFranDream.com. That's where I'm at. Or you could email me, James at the FranDream, of anyone who's looking to, get into a franchise business and work from home. And there's a lot of franchises to where you can work from home. And love to talk with anybody about that.
Awesome. Right on. So last question might be the hardest one. Who's your favorite rock star?
Well, that is a really great question, but what I will just say singer, and I won't go, because you go rock star, you're thinking rock star, right? So I would say it really is Prince.
Oh,
So, and
yes.
Prince to me because he played every instrument. He was an amazing guitar player. He was, amazing on the drums, and had an amazing voice. And if you've been to any of his concert, your jaw would just be, wow, this guy is an incredible performer.
Yeah, I agree. He's so good, and the more you learn about him, the more fascinating it becomes, right? So
Right.
you don't see it like I mean, he seems so I don't know, shy in a way, but
Shy,
not really.
diminutive, right? Yeah.
You know, he's funny. You know, he is charismatic, and I mean, man, the talent on that guy, it's great. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Just amazing and just, right up there with one of the best concerts I've ever seen.
Wow, I've never seen him. I wish I did.
Yeah. Very, very, very impressive.
Well, thank you so much for rocking out with me today, James. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Tim. I really appreciate you having me.
Awesome. And to the listeners, make sure you go to workathomerockstar.com for more information. We'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.